All right, little instant reaction. In 15 minutes from now, you're going to hear from Chad Millman, Sharper Square. Thank you for all joining us. San Francisco, the Niners got off to a big first half lead, coasted to a 36-24 win. I never felt it was really in doubt. You probably didn't either. I think it was a nice performance by Brock Purdy, who had 3 touchdowns, 255 yards. We talked about this today on FS1 that this was a big night for Brock Purdy. They're a very good top 4 scoring team in the league in the first half. That's a lot of that's on Kyle Shanahan's scripted plays, and Brock Purdy's incredibly efficient in running those plays smartly. Distribution's excellent, and they jump out to lead. They have not been a good second half offense. They have not been a good red zone offense. So tonight meant something because you have to. I mean, they were down to a third running back tonight beyond, Christian McCaffrey's out, his sub out. So I thought it was really important. Kittle had a nice night. Debo had touches. Brandon Ayuk still doesn't feel like I'm getting the full Brandon Ayuk. But this was a big night for Brock Purdy. That it's on the road. You have the better roster. You have the better coach, but it's a tough environment. It is a rival. Those divisional games are tough. But I do think week 6 in the NFL, this is week 6, I think you start to see a separation between the posers and the pretenders and the real teams. You're going to see the separation of quarterbacks. I'm going to take Justin Herbert over Bo Nix this weekend. I took tonight Brock Purdy, who I think is better than Geno Smith. I think you're going to see some separation this week. Bad teams and mediocre teams can convince themselves for the first 4 to 5 weeks that they can play. And then you see separation. And you also see improvement by some young players like Caleb Williams has obviously had a very good last 2 weeks. So, Geno Smith is now 0-5. I went and looked it up tonight. 0-5 officially against San Francisco. He never plays particularly well. No, he didn't have a run game tonight, whereas Brock Purdy did have a run game. But he's been sacked 15 times, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks, mid-80s passer rating against San Francisco. And that's a real deal, is that, it's okay if Lamar Jackson loses to Kansas City. Everybody's losing to Kansas City and Mahomes and Andy Reid. But you got to beat those divisional foes. Brady owned the AFC East. Big Ben for years owned Cincinnati and Cleveland. And Geno just doesn't play well against his rivals. So right now you have Brock Purdy's better than Geno, Kyler Murray's better than Geno, and Matt Stafford in division's better than Geno Smith. Seattle's got the 4th best quarterback in division. Listen, the Darnold story, the Baker story, the Geno story of redemption, I love. But Sam and Baker are better than Geno. He's number 3 on that list. So I thought Seattle should have taken a quarterback in last year's draft. I would have gone after Michael Penix, the local kid, and had his offensive coordinator, Coach Grubb, who's now the OC of the Seahawks. But Atlanta gets him. So, and I also think they have to consider moving maybe a DK Metcalf. I don't know. I thought Al Michaels hit on it tonight, or maybe it was Kirk Herbstreit. DK sometimes doesn't feel engaged, catching the ball with his body. You get the occasional splash plays, but I just don't feel like he's always engaged. And, sometimes players just get tired of teams and environments. And I don't know. There's a lot of receivers on an annual basis from college to pro. I think DK is a really good player, explosive. Somebody would be interested, but that just feels like you could move off it and garner a good draft pick. And that draft pick you could use to move up, because Seattle's going to win some games this year. As soon as their defensive line gets healthy, they're going to win some games. They won't be a top 7 or 8 drafting team. So if you have to move up, you have to give up, a couple of seconds, a couple of thirds, whatever you got to do to move up. But I think Seattle needs to go get a quarterback. You cannot have the 4th best quarterback in the division. Right now, Geno, again tonight, couple of picks, 30 of 51. He's a better story than he is a quarterback. Darnold this year is a great story, and so is Baker, but they're also really good quarterbacks currently. Last 2 weeks, Seattle's been dominated time of possession. So, when you fall into these big holes, they really weren't competitive, even though I had it tied at 10 against the Giants. If you watch the game, they were dominated. Their offense was rarely on the field. Tonight, again, you're losing time of possession. And some of that's just the defense with Mike McDonald. They're all banged up. They can't make stops. But you can talk yourself into a lot of different things. You got to have the 1st or 2nd best quarterback in your division. Right now in the AFC, Who leads the AFC East? The best quarterback in the division, Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson leads the AFC North. He's playing the best in the division. CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes. Okay. And Kirk Cousins, he's over there in the NFC South, best quarterback in that division. So, yep, I think Seattle has to have a big offseason. I like John Snyder, the GM. I think he's sharp. He and Pete Carroll didn't see eye to eye. And it was a little bit of a power struggle near the end. But go get a quarterback. Accumulate some draft picks. Take a big swing on this. I think it's a better quarterback college draft than we thought 6 months ago. You start watching these kids play, they all improve. I'd make the move. But the overall tonight, my take is this was a really important performance for Brock Purdy, and I thought he delivered. He was on script in the first half with Shanahan, and then made some plays, moved around with his feet. A couple of George Kittle moments. One of those to George Kittle was a complete dart.